Hello, I am Nadeshiko Yamato, and I have some exciting news to share with you regarding the VR metaverse world. Recently, Meta Horizon OS has been unveiled, which opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. This operating system allows manufacturers, apart from Meta, to create headsets like Meta Quest. This means that we might see a wide range of VR headsets from different companies in the future, similar to the variety of Android smartphones today. In fact, some companies have already begun working on their own headsets. This development is significant as it has the potential to shape the future of the VR industry. In this discussion, I will do my best to explain everything in a simple and understandable manner, especially for those who have recently developed an interest in VR or have limited knowledge about it. So please make sure to stick around till the end to get all the details. Yes, on April 23rd, 2014, Mark Zuckerberg made an announcement on the social media platform Instagram stating that he would be making the Meta Horizon OS available to third-party developers. So what exactly is this Meta Horizon OS? Well, it is an operating system that is designed to run virtual reality, VR, or mixed reality experiences on the Oculus Quest device. It can be compared to popular operating systems like Windows or macOS on personal computers and Android or iOS on smartphones. Just as those operating systems power their respective devices, Horizon OS serves as the primary software foundation for VR applications and experiences. Interestingly, Meta, formerly known as Oculus, has been diligently developing this operating system for approximately a decade. Although it had previously been called Oculus Mobile Software and later Quest System Software, its core features and content likely remained constant throughout these name changes. A headset equipped with this OS becomes Meta Quest. Even if you don't own VR, I think there are quite a few people who know the name and existence of Meta Quest, which was originally called Oculus Quest. However, Meta Quest was originally named Oculus Quest. Let's talk a little bit about the past. Around 2014, Facebook acquired Oculus, a VR headset maker. Then, around 2021, Facebook changed its name to Meta. At this time, the product name and the name of Oculus Quest were changed to Meta Quest. It may have been a bit of a sad event for those who miss Oculus. From its acquisition of Oculus in 2014 to today, Facebook has released a variety of VR headsets, and the history of VR goggles regarding these is detailed in another video of mine. If you are interested, please take a look. I would like to post on this English channel if possible. There are three main things that I personally feel are great about Meta Quest, which I have been using for a long time. First of all, the overall performance is high. I think the Quest series will satisfy most users, from VR beginners to heavy users. The image quality is also generally good. Equipped with a lens that provides resolution and clear visibility that makes you feel like there is no screen door. Tracking is working without problems and processing performance is generally high. Second, it has the most content. In the case of MetaQuest, apps are sold and downloaded at a place called Quest Store, and the VR content on Quest Store is of the highest quality and quantity. If you go to the App Lab, you will find many indie VR games that are not available in the Quest Store. There's also a lot of content that can be played for free. App Lab may have more content that makes heavy use of mixed reality. I haven't looked into App Lab recently, so if anyone knows anything about it, please let me know. Connecting the Quest to a PC also gives him even more options, as he can use it as a PC VR goggle to play higher quality VR games on platforms like Steam. With Quest, you'll never run out of content. And thirdly, it's very cheap considering its performance. The price of the latest model, MetaQuest 3, is approximately 75,000 yen in Japanese yen, which may seem a little high, but considering its performance, it is quite cheap. Once you purchase a VR headset, you will continue to use it for 2 to 3 years. The previous version, Quest 2, was recently reduced in price and can now be purchased for 32,000 yen in Japanese yen. This is one of the cheapest VR goggles overall, so I don't think you'll find a cheaper headset, but the Quest 2 is very cheap. There are several other manufacturers of VR headsets in the world other than Meta, but this one has generally high performance, rich content at the highest level, and extremely low price. I think there are almost no manufacturers that make headsets that have all three of these features. For example, a manufacturer makes a headset that has much higher performance than Quest, but is also considerably more expensive. The price is set quite low at the Quest level, but it's a headset with a small amount of content. I think they are doing their best, but looking at these examples, I wonder if Meta is GAFA, or what we now call Matana. Well, isn't it one of the big tech companies called GAFA? After all, it may be a little difficult for other companies to compete with GAFA power. By the way, in Japan, Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon are collectively called GAFA. But is this also true in countries other than Japan? Please tell me about that if you do not mind. Now, regarding the Quest 2, the American research company IDC has announced that as of June 2022, worldwide sales of the Quest 2 have exceeded approximately 15 million units. At that time, for example, the Xbox Series X and S sold a total of about 14 million units at the time. It is said that the PlayStation 5 sold around 20 million units. I think you can see that even in 2022, Quest 2 will be popular around the world at a level comparable to such game consoles. It is said that by 2023, the cumulative worldwide sales of the Quest series will have exceeded 20 million units. Quest is said to be the world's most successful VR device. Furthermore, the Nintendo Switch sells incomparably, so Nintendo is still amazing. The OS installed in MetaQuest is Horizon OS. This OS, previously available only on Meta, is now open to third-party companies. This enables Quest's tracking system, which senses room space and tracks hand and finger movements, as well as mixed reality, MR technology, which blends real space with virtual objects. This technology is now available to third parties. What's interesting to me is that headsets from third-party companies will be able to use Quest's App Store. Maybe it's just speculation on my part, but maybe this will solve the problem of lack of content on third-party headsets. For example, looking at Quest's rival Pico 4, the VR App Store's selection is inferior to the Quest Store in both quantity and quality. As of November 2023, when I counted them, there would be a difference of about 160 titles, unless I made a mistake in counting. Beat Saber, Resident Evil 4 VR, Vader Immortal series, etc. are available in the Quest Store but not in the Pico Store. Looking at this example, it may be very difficult for a VR headset manufacturer to have a lot of content in their App Store. If this release of Meta Horizon OS solves this problem of lack of content, I think it will become easier for various companies to create headsets in the future. I'm getting a little excited. In fact, several companies have already announced plans to develop headsets using Meta Horizon OS. That's Asus, Lenovo, and Microsoft this time. All three companies have already partnered with Meta to develop headsets. There was also a brief explanation of what kind of headsets each company makes. For example, about Asus. When you think of Asus, you get the impression that they specialize in gaming devices such as ROG Ally, right? As you can see, they are making a VR headset specifically for gaming this time as well. It was announced that Lenovo is making headsets for productivity, learning, and entertainment. In fact, Lenovo has made a VR headset for business use, Think Reality, in the past. I have experienced it myself, and I remember that the pass-through image quality was very beautiful. Lenovo probably has the know-how to make VR headsets. Microsoft is also said to be working with Meta to develop a limited edition Meta Quest. Speaking of Microsoft, they recently released an app for Quest called Xbox Cloud Gaming that allows you to play Xbox games on the cloud, right? I think the concept of the app is that you can play Xbox games on the big screen wherever you are by wearing your Quest. So it seems that this Microsoft headset is made specifically for Xbox Cloud Gaming. My guess is that the headset will probably not come with a tracking camera or VR controller and will focus on lightweight and screen clarity. There are images on the internet that appear to be leaked images of the headset made by Xbox, but of course it is not official information, so its authenticity is unknown. Well, let's summarize the story so far. Meta opens Horizon OS to third parties. Headset manufacturers other than Meta will now be able to utilize MetaQuest's technology, ecosystem, and App Store, making it easier to develop headsets. As a result, many different models of VR headsets will be released by various companies, just like Android smartphones, and the VR industry has the potential to become even more exciting. Isn't the first year of VR coming? I'm getting excited. By the way, can people other than Japan understand the meme first year of VR? I do not know. Next, read this recently posted article on Mogura VR. The article states that this person, Mark Rabkin, VP of Mixed Reality at Meta, gave an interview. Let's read it briefly. What I personally find interesting is that they are paying a lot of attention to the Japanese market. Apparently, sales of Meta Quest 3 in Japan are exceeding their expectations. Oh, it seems like we Japanese people are buying a lot of Quest 3s. I read somewhere that Quest 2 is still more popular overseas. After all, cheaper products are easier to buy. Especially in Japan, we are currently living in an era where it is difficult to purchase foreign products due to the historically weak yen. I'm surprised that Quest 3 is so popular. For Meta, Japan is ranked at the top of the list of countries where the market is expected to expand in the future. It seems like it's getting a lot of attention. The reason for this is that Japan is a country with a large population, an economic powerhouse, a deep understanding of technology, and a passion for the virtual world. If you watch the news every day, you will hear that Japan's population is decreasing due to the declining birth rate and aging population, and that the GDP is also decreasing. So I think there is some lip service to it. However, compared to other countries around the world, Japan is probably a relatively attractive market. In addition, Lovkin seems to be paying attention to VTubers as well. Yes, I mean, that's me. Maybe Mr. Lovkin is watching my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the channel. This is the MetaQuest OS release news. There are probably not only good aspects, but also negative aspects or points of concern. I think it's probably a big benefit for users, but what does it really mean? So next I would like to find out what other people's opinions are. First, from Upload VR's article. First up is this guy, John Carmack. John Carmack has been creating Quest software since Meta was Oculus. Without this person, today's VR headsets probably wouldn't exist. That's how much I think he's a legend. According to him, he doesn't think this Meta announcement is such a great idea. Personally, I find it interesting that Meta sells its hardware at cost price. So, Meta Quest 3 costs about 75,000 yen in Japanese yen, but it seems like there is almost no profit. It seems like they are selling it at almost cost price. It's scary. That's why third-party headsets have to command higher prices than Quest, he points out. Although the OS will be open to other companies, it may be difficult to imagine that another company will release a headset that combines the price and performance of Meta Quest. It will probably be a high-end headset, or the price will probably go up either way. Personally, I am concerned about the future of Pico. A highly complete headset comparable to Quest and at a low price. However, the App Store is inferior to Quest in both quantity and quality. The release of Meta Horizon OS feels like a headwind for manufacturers like Pico. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of strategy they will use. What do you think, everyone? He also says that this strategy will hinder software development at Meta. This is because the engineering costs required to make the OS suitable for third parties, engineering sources, and maintaining good communication with other companies are costly. Resources that can be spent on the essential operation and improvement of the OS itself will be reduced. This is probably a big problem. I don't think today's VR software is complete. I don't feel that we have yet achieved a natural blend of reality and virtual virtuality. In addition to hardware, I believe that software development is also essential, and he says VR is more constrained by software than hardware. That's a very important perspective. Let's see what other people think. This is an article by Road to VR. This person is Mr. Palmer Luckey. This person is the founder of Oculus. I think he's as legendary as John Carmack. Without him, the VR industry would not exist today. Although he has now left the VR industry and works for a military company, he occasionally participates in VR-related events. He also comes to Japan occasionally. I previously had a two-shot taken with Palmer Luckey. Thank you. That being said, what does Mr. Palmer Luckey think of this news? He reportedly said, "I hope it's not too late." Well, it feels a little disturbing. Let's read the article. Mr. Palmer Luckey is saying something like, "Right? I told you so, right?" regarding this announcement. What this means is that Mr. Palmer, or rather Oculus, has been planning to release an OS like this to other companies for over 10 years. However, after it was acquired by Facebook, he seems to have said that those plans disappeared. In his latest Instagram announcement, Zuckerberg said he was aiming for an open model of computing in the metaverse and mixed reality, but that idea already existed 10 years ago during the Oculus era. It might have been. In 2015, Meta, then Facebook, partnered with Samsung to release a headset called Gear VR. Those who had it may feel nostalgic. I've never used it. This is different from the currently mainstream standalone VR headsets, and is a headset that you can plug in your smartphone to operate. Gear VR was developed by Facebook together with a third party, but that's about it. I don't think there are any other examples, so I think it was a major change from the original plan. I think it's true that the acquisition of Facebook made VR popular to this day, but I also think that the result was different from what Palmer Luckey and Oculus had envisioned at the time. Palmer Luckey said, "I have always strongly believed that Oculus should strive to build a technology platform that supports all headsets, including competing products from HTC and others. I hope this is not too late. Rather than Meta monopolizing the market, I think the XR and VR industries as a whole will wither away unless they work hand in hand with various companies and create excitement throughout the industry. If more efforts had been made 10 years ago, I think the XR industry would be in a much different shape today. I have a feeling that Mr. Palmer Luckey thinks this way. What do you all think?" Next, comments from app developers who are actually creating VR games have also appeared in recent articles. Let's also take a look at this article. This is an article by Road to VR. The developers behind Pistol Whip, as well as those behind Lighthouse Brigade, Compound, and Pillow, were interviewed. If you read it, you'll see a lot of different opinions. Please allow me to omit the details of the entire article. Regarding the release of the OS this time, there are good things and bad things here. For example, on the positive side, there is talk that porting games will become easier. It seems like it's really difficult to port a game. Currently, VR game platforms include Quest version, Pico version, PSVR No, 2, and Steam version. This may be a perspective that we, the users, don't usually see. It seems like it would be quite difficult to port it to each platform and optimize performance for each headset. Wouldn't the release of the Quest OS save us the trouble of porting VR games? From an app developer's perspective, there are quite happy opinions. While there were opinions like that, there were also opinions that porting the game wasn't that easy. Although the OS will be released, porting it will not be that easy, and there are concerns that, especially for small-scale VR game development studios, the burden will increase even more and it will become even more difficult. I will. What do you think? There are quite a lot of different opinions and it's interesting to read, so please read the original article if you'd like. I'll put a link in the summary section. I hope that there will be more attractive VR content than there is now. Yes. This was the news about the release of Meta Horizon OS. How was that? What did you think about this case? Please write in the comments if you like. Even in English, I try my best to read. This release of Meta Horizon OS may have both good and bad aspects for Meta and the VR XR industry as a whole. Honestly, I can't make a decision yet. Sounds like a good thing if a lot of hardware and software is created. I don't think all good things will happen, however time has moved on. By Meta. By Mr. Zuckerberg. I believe that the VR XR industry will definitely change in the future. Let's keep an eye on it. Zuckerberg also made this announcement on Instagram. He says, "It may take 2 to 3 years at the earliest, but eventually I would like to be able to run apps such as Steam and Google Play on Quest." He says this later in the video. Was doing. I can sense that you want to expand the practicality of VR headsets in the metaverse. By the way, there was also talk that AppLab and Quest Store, renamed Horizon Store, would be integrated. Aside from that, personally, I think current VR headsets are inconvenient. If you want to play VR chat or VR games, this is the only device you have to wear. However, headsets are generally bulky, heavy, and uncomfortable. To be honest, it falls into the category that I don't want to wear as much as possible. Of course, there are also lightweight and small headsets available. I hope that this field will develop further in the future, and that both hardware and software will continue to evolve. I wanted this technology to make our lives more convenient and happier, earlier, we're still in the process, and the changes are dizzying. Let's have fun and enjoy this metaverse, virtual reality, and mixed reality that is changing every day. I think I'll end this video like this. In the future, we will continue to post videos about VR, AR, and metaverse on the Nadeshiko Yamato channel. I will post videos as much as possible on this English channel. As mentioned in the summary section, this video uses the AI translation service to convert my Japanese to English. Do you feel uncomfortable? Please let me know in the comments if you like. Please subscribe to the channel and give us a high rating. Currently, I'm aiming for hundreds of thousands of subscribers on my main channel, so only about 30% of the viewers who watch my videos subscribe to my channel. So if the remaining 70% of people subscribe, we might reach 100,000 soon. Thank you very much for your support. Please subscribe to the channel and give us a high rating. Thank you as always, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.